And we're back. Welcome to Oblivious Podcast, episode 1. I'm your host, Jay Johnson. Here with me, as always, we have Rage.
What up?
D Stokes.
Hey, what's up, man? What a lovely entry.
I know. I don't know how to say hi.
And your boy... And your boy, Gooby Goo.
Hey, guys, what's up?
We're back once again. Here we go for episode 1. I mean, we can,
No.
I was down with
fine.
it. Look,
It's
yeah, we're here. We're rolling with it. We're rolling with it.
Hey,
It's our official episode 1. If you've been with us for the episode prior, that was 0. This is 1. I'm glad we're naming them this way because this means that we're in sequence from 1 to 9. You know, so The reason why we're here, we're reviewing and discussing all the 9 main Star Wars movies, or including the side movies. So the Skywalker saga plus going through them one by one. This is the first one. We decided to do it in chronological order. That's why we're here. So first up on the docket, episode 1, Phantom Menace. For the show today, we have an intro, a synopsis overview from your boy, the resident Star Wars fan, DJ Rage I Can.
Let's
we'll
go.
have our discussion about everything. And then we have some quick rapid fire questions for the expert Rage after that. So yeah, how's it going, boys?
it's going great.
What is up? Doing
All
great.
right, so we're here. We're feeling it. It's the first episode, first official episode. So we're all excited. I know we watched the movie last night again. Before we get going, I do have a couple things. Now, we decided to do this in chronological order, and I just gotta say,
It's a questionable decision at the very least.
No, it's probably the best decision.
Oh
The
my!
best
So
decision.
you're right here with me. So
Watch the good movies, then the worst one, then you watch the best ones. It's the order to go, baby.
So
go.
we're in the living room, and I'm making dinner, trying to get everything ready, trying to get this set up so we can watch this movie.
What you made for dinner?
What I make? What last night I had some. We had some pork chops, and we had what else we had? We had some asparagus roasted in the
Asparagus?
oven.
Oh,
And then we
let's
had,
go, Chef Boyardee. I
Or
like
something
it.
else. We had a third. We had some rice. I had to get our starch in there. So we had the meat,
Okay.
the greens, and the starch in there. All right. That's what we have for dinner. I made this nice, lovely dinner, and Jesse's like, you know what? How about I put on Cabin in the Woods as we wait? I'm like, dear, don't do this to me, because we're gonna watch 15 minutes of a good movie and then
Right.
have to segue to this bullshit. So
Okay, that's not a good movie. Wait,
in a-
what? What?
in a long-winded way, I'm just trying to say, for a first-time viewing, it's hard starting it
Yeah,
like this. And I'm not
really
gonna
is.
lie, it was very tough because I haven't done this before. You know, I've
Okay,
always
the
watched
movie
these
is not that
movies.
bad, bro.
I've,
What's this
I've
hate
always
coming
watched these
from? I don't
movies
understand.
in a context of the other movies. And so starting out with it was kind of hard for me. So I'm assuming you guys are getting the same kind of vibes.
No.
It's such
Except
a
for
boring movie.
Juarez.
It's such a boring movie.
I'm gonna
At
say,
times,
man,
at times.
I had high hopes. I was like, hey man, this is gonna be great. And
No.
it took me three like sessions, man. I didn't finish it in one sitting. It took
Yeah.
a while.
It took me 2.
Damn.
I probably
okay,
should have done
then.
the same too, because I definitely dozed off a couple times. I was doing my
Yeah,
best
I fell
to
asleep the first
stay
time.
involved, but
They're the lulls
Yeah.
in this movie are like,
Well, shows what I know.
man.
Well, talk to us. Tell me. Did you have a good time? What was up?
I mean, look, I did have I had a decent time with the movie. Okay, well, you know, I was watching it and my wife was in the background just roasting it, just continuously. She said the script was bad. Natalie Portman was bad. The whole, I mean, it's a weird movie, man. You know, like some it leaves you with more questions, really, you know, than answers, man. Because it's my only where I really had a hard time was from the jump, like. When they fill their gas chamber, well, you know, fill the thing full of gas, why didn't they just leave the gas on? They just let the gas kept going. Then they would have just
Like, just wait a little longer.
Yeah, just wait, and it would have been
Maybe
the end of the
longer than
movie.
5 minutes. I can't
You
help
guys
it
do it for
forever.
2 seconds.
Right,
It's
it's
like
like, oh,
they're
bro,
dead.
it's
Go
good.
in there and
You
finish
know?
them off.
Yeah.
You know, but like it was like I give it like a B. Like it wasn't bad, you know, but
Yeah.
you know, but I did have me and Rage we hung out before I just finished watching like 30 minutes or 40 minutes ago. And Rage put like some like bad thoughts in my head because I was watching, like, you know, when people like say something but like subliminally, you like think about it, and he was
Yeah.
like, like when the first time I saw like Anakin hit on Padme, I was like, oh man, that is kind of weird. This the homeboy like he's like
very
eight.
weird.
He's like 8.
He comes hard fast too. He's like,
Oh baby, is you an angel? Shit, girl, you beautiful.
And the thing,
like,
my thought
this is a
on
child.
my thought on that was like, well, surely in the first one, we're just thinking it was bad. Like there wasn't any. It was just they were just
Right.
friends back then, and then it developed, and people are making. No, there's some weird moments.
it's from the jump.
between them two, and like, and especially Natalie Portman's character Padme. She's
Yeah.
being
She-
like,
yeah.
her,
She
it's
enables
weird, man.
it. She's like, oh, what's up,
Yeah.
little boy? It's like,
It's
no.
just like, oh, I like this. I ain't never had nobody hit on me before. What's up? I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But
Like the
hey,
part
look,
when they part ways, when he thinks he's gonna like not see her again, she's like, I'll never forget about you. I always care about you or something. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, damn.
Yeah.
But outside of, the movie, it was alright, man. I give it like a B. I didn't like hate it, but I was just like, this movie looked like, what was it, like 1999, maybe? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I was
1999.
like, this look and feel like 1999, especially that rat tail my boy had going on. I was like, okay, I like it.
I mean, that's more thematic than 1999, but I got you.
But it wasn't like, I wouldn't say it's like garbage. I was just like,
Okay,
well.
so you're gonna tell me if you could pick any place
And it
to
had
start
Samuel L.
in this-
Jackson.
if you can pick any place to start in this series, you're gonna tell me with a straight face you would start with this one.
Oh, what you mean, like a series or just the movie in general?
I'm saying, like, if you had to pick a starting point, would you want to start with this one? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Oh, wait, what are the options then? Start, is like release or chronological?
Yeah, I mean, you could-
But
yeah,
there's
you could
only two
start
options
with-
though.
I mean,
Like,
there's some weird ones out there.
I choose reverse chronological then.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
How about
Just
the
go
one
from
that came
newest-
out? The one that came out last is that we watched that one and then we go
I
backwards.
mean, that's not a bad idea. I wouldn't
Yeah.
argue against that, to be honest. I thought about it.
I mean, if that order, I pick that order and then I pick the regular
Okay,
order.
so for the two main ones, and you would pick this over watching New Hope first, then, yeah?
Yeah, New Hope is the one I like least, really.
Yeah, I know you hate that one. Okay, all right.
You know what I'm saying? Obi-Wan, you're our only hope. No, man. Get the fuck out of there.
Gotta go to
Okay, so-
Haji Station, get a space converter.
Okay, so all right, so rough start, maybe
Got
not so
choppa
rough
coppa
start.
chowa.
We got a couple different thoughts here. So all right, so Stokes, you had some for us. I think it's pertaining to this, but I'm not sure. So
Oh, no. So it's actually pertaining to the last episode that we did of this. So episode 0, we were talking about the Yavin years, or as Goob would call them, the Gavin years.
Yeah, Gavin.
Yeah, the Gavins. All right. So I did some, we had some debate on like what was a year in Star Wars time.
okay.
So
I start doing
I
my
can-
research.
I consulted my buddy Alex. So shout out to my man Alex. And he hit
What
me
up,
up with
Alex?
this knowledge. So a year in Star Wars is based on Coruscant. So the galactic
Makes
calendar
sense.
is based on 1 year of Coruscant going around its sun, which apparently is like just about like a regular Earth year.
Okay.
And Coruscant's the city planet,
gotta
correct?
Be like a
It's
lot
yeah,
smaller.
it's like the capital of the Republic. Is that right, Ray?
Gotcha. Okay, Tim.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
capital
is.
of the Republic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Washington's
Oh, damn.
DC for the universe, if it
Look at
as it
that.
were,
We're getting some fucking knowledge out here. All right, okay, I can dig it.
or
Okay.
United Nations more, I guess. Yeah.
Motherfucking
Yeah.
Coruscant here. All right, sweet. Okay, so with
It
that,
does-
that's a good
it-
set.
I mean, it does make me wonder, like, does the rest of the galaxy abide by that or just the Republic? But, I guess we're going to roll with that.
Well, the Republic would be influencing, I mean, as far as it can go, right? I mean, we're in, I guess, this galaxy and they're trying to do everything, right? That's the Republic
Maybe.
is Republic. That's I would
Maybe.
assume.
But
everything
maybe-
in the incorporated galaxy.
But maybe tying it with, like, Interstellar, maybe time is actually different. Like, that's just the calendar that they use. And, like, maybe that explains why Baby Yoda is 50, but he looks like a baby. I don't know.
The child. Oh, man.
Wait,
that-
man, say that again. Why did what?
In, like, Interstellar, when they go to that planet that's by the black hole,
Yeah.
and they're like, hey, 1 minute down here is like 8 years back on Earth.
Oh yeah. You're right.
So maybe
You're right.
maybe Baby Yoda's like going up next to like a black hole or something. So like they say he's 50 years old, but he looks like a baby.
Baby
Yeah.
Yoda fucked up. And
Hey,
didn't
I
get
saw
back on the
another.
plane
I
in
saw
time.
another Yoda species character in that thing. Did y'all see that?
Wait, in this one?
And-
Like in the council, it's like 3 to the left of regular Yoda's another looks like another Yoda like thing.
I did not see that.
Oh,
I feel
okay,
like
I could
I've
be wrong
heard
then.
about
Never
this,
mind.
but
Never mind. I might have made
I don't
that
remember
up.
seeing it though.
Well, Raids, isn't that like canon? Isn't it like that Yoda supposedly had like a relationship of some sort with like another one of his creature?
Ooh.
I've never heard that before.
I thought that there was also like another like Yoda.
I'm not denying
a
it,
Yoda
but
lady
I'm not
somewhere
familiar with
out
that.
there.
Okay, all right, blind spot.
I know there is another Yoda. Like, there's a female Yoda. Like, you can see her in the Jedi Council. It's like a Yoda
That's what
species.
you're talking about then. Okay, I got you.
But they're not like, I don't think there's any sort of relationship between them. They're just two of the same species, and she's like a Jedi master.
They just have
in her
like
own
four
right.
sex.
No, I don't think they have any sex. But I don't know.
But
Oh
then there's
yeah,
a baby.
how do you know?
I mean
then there is a
that is what I know right now. Maybe I'm
Or
wrong.
they could be
maybe
made. Maybe
to my
even made through
understanding.
midi-chlorians.
maybe
Yeah, if they say midichlorians,
we do learn about
those.
those. We do learn about
Yeah.
those.
Okay, all right. Well, speaking of midichlorians, speaking of the facts, Rage, if you could give us the overview of what Star Wars: A Phantom Menace is. Play the thing.
This boy?
Sure about this? Will I ever see you again?
They all sense it.
Okay, so before I get started, I'm just gonna go through a few facts, as it were, and paint the picture of
Ooh, I like
1999, and just not. I'm not gonna do a ton of numbers, but just some things.
Please give us all the numbers.
around the release. So Star Wars: The Phantom Menace came out May 16th, 1999. A few other popular movies of the year was the first Matrix, Fight Club, The Sixth Sense, Toy Story 2.
See, now these some good ass movies.
Yeah,
So
it
all
was a
came
good
out in
year.
1999.
All of them are better
Popular
movies. Than
These some
1999 movies,
bangers
yeah.
right here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying this film competes with those. Those are just other offerings we got that year.
Before you continue, sorry, that's actually really cool because I was thinking about this. I was like, this movie feels kind of weird with pacing and kind of slow, yada yada yada. It is Star Wars, and
What's that
Star
like?
Wars, represented something before this, and now it's trying to represent something else. But yeah, I mean, comparing it to even that quick short list of movies, it's obviously, well, not obviously, maybe subjectively, I guess we're saying that it's not as good. Stokes shot it out, not as good as any of those movies, but definitely feels like a different movie from it because a lot of those movies feel, like they could be in any time.
Yeah.
Matrix, Fight Club, all those movies, they age super well. We watched Fight Club the other night, fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one doesn't kind of have that either. That's definitely interesting to think about. Like, even in its own time capsule, it kind of stands out, and maybe not the best of ways up against.
No. I mean,
its own
you look at The
contemporaries.
Matrix. It's a high special effects sci-fi type movie, and
Yeah.
it's not close. The difference between the two quality of the two movies, I would say.
Yeah.
Being those are, I guess, comparable, being sci-fi. Directed by your boy George, our father
Boy, George.
and Lord
Culture
and
Club.
Savior, George
Let's
Lucas.
go.
I should have looked this up, but I think Steven Spielberg was supposed to in the Rise of an Empire or whatever documentary behind the scenes, they talked about how Steven Spielberg was supposed to direct them, but he didn't. I think he was busy. There was a couple of other directors and he just couldn't get anybody else to direct it, which sucked because I think Ron Howard.
I mean, that's intimidating, right?
Yeah,
Come on, man,
Ron
you gotta
Howard
come
was
through
in
here.
George Lucas's first movie, American Graffiti or whatever, and Ron Howard couldn't. So yeah, it sucked. And I think it was just that the stakes were so
Ron Howard
high.
to do it?
I think so. I didn't.
Who's Ron Howard?
You have to watch the documentary, but I know Steven Spielberg was
Yeah.
the name. I believe Ron Howard was thrown in there too.
Who is that?
Just
Is
Ron
that
Howard.
Isn't that
He was the
porno guy?
kid from Happy Days. He was the Fonzie's homie.
Yeah, he's a
Oh.
very very popular director. These
But
days.
now he does. Yeah, he's a director now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Like one of the goats. So George was like, all right, fuck it, I'll do it, which is kind of where all this went wrong. All due respect to George
Yeah.
because I love him very much, and it pains me. It really does. I just always believe, even with the original trilogy, George Lucas had other directors, and besides the first one, which
Yeah.
I'd say that. I mean, I've never seen American Graffiti. I've heard it was pretty good. So I think he did okay with that one. But he worked with really good directors on the original trilogy, and that made a difference. And man, wish we could have had that on the prequels as well. So some other things written by George Lucas as well, and starring Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Jake Lloyd as Little Annie, Ian McDermott as the senator, and Anthony Daniels as C-3PO. All the casting characters that everyone is probably familiar with that has seen the movies.
Score done by John Williams, the homie.
That's what I was about to. And I was just gonna. Everyone knows it's John Williams, but I have to. You have to. Me and Goob got the immense privilege of going to see Star Wars Symphony live and in person last weekend.
An experience, I bet.
Man, just that was a nice hour and a half or whatever it was of just
2 hours
of just listening to
it was wonderful.
Some beautiful fucking music. Which shout out to MSO. Is it Mississippi Symphony Orchestra? Goob? Is that
but not a shout out to the people who sold the
the lightsabers.
Fuck those guys. Yeah. Hey, here's a
lightsaber. What happened?
They just had stupid ass little plastic lightsabers for stupid ass children.
So all the kids were definitely. And we sat in the back, so these kids did not care. They were lighting them up and whatever, even though we're supposed to know.
Oh, they were disturbing.
But I would say it didn't bother me as much.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
say.
It was cool to see the kids enjoying it, having a good time. Yeah. I got hit in the head with one and I got challenged to a lightsaber battle. It was all good vibes. And at the end, it was cool to see like they would encourage them to wave them at the end of certain songs and stuff, which was dope.
They should have did Disney. They should have did Galaxy's Edge rules. You can have the lightsaber, but you cannot play with the lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yes, they should have had that.
But that was beautiful, and so shout out to John Williams, the best part of Star Wars, to be honest.
Damn.
He's amazing.
The most consistent, he literally
among the best things of Star Wars, I'd say.
Banger,
yeah,
right?
The score. You can't take away the impact that John Williams' music has on all these films. It's always amazing. So, so distributed by 20th Century Fox, had a budget of $115 million, and brought in at the box office $1.027 billion. So
what?
We can say what we want about the film, but they made plenty of fucking money. So
exactly.
They, a success in all accounts on that level. So. Yeah, so I guess if we're ready, I will just go start reading, and we'll just kind of go through this film. I know we all have some notes, and we can just kind of.
I don't.
Besides Goo, but
okay.
I'm just gonna go. It's kind of set up here. I'm reading this from this 1999 article from The Guardian that has the plot. I'm gonna read the opening scroll and we'll just go through it, and let's just kind of whatever pops in our heads, and we'll discuss. And you can stop me whenever. So
before you get to a rage, can I ask? I think we kind of covered a little bit on episode 0, but I just wanted to get one more. Does anyone remember seeing this when it happened, or just the kind of the goings on with you during? Because I didn't watch these in the movies when it went down.
I remember I did go. I went and saw it in the theater. I don't remember anything significant about it. I don't remember where I was. I'm assuming it was in Meridian.
Around that time.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was in Meridian at the Bonita Lake Small Theater at some point. I remember being excited about it. I remember liking it. At that age, it was dope as a kid. I didn't know didn't realize the lack in quality until later in life. But I don't know about you guys.
No, I did not see it in theater. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd never seen it until I was 18, 19.
Yeah, I was super pumped because I had seen all because they had released the prequel or the original trilogy leading up to this one, I believe. That was when the re-release came or whatever, and then episode 1 beforehand, I believe. So I was ready for it. I was tuned in, and I know I saw it pretty quickly, but yeah.
Yeah, same thing for me. I saw it later, so I'm kind of just in remembrance in that way. So
right.
All right, it's all you then.
All right, so the opening scroll. Okay, so turmoil. I know. Here we go. Turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems is in dispute. Hoping to resolve the matter with a blockade of deadly battleships, the greedy Trade Federation has stopped all shipping to and from the small planet of Naboo. While the Congress of the Republic endlessly debates this alarming chain of events, the Supreme Chancellor has secretly dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, the Guardians of Peace, to settle the conflict. Thus begins George Lucas's first prequel, The Phantom Menace. So that's the fucking scroll, right? So already like we're. So here's the thing, like I like again going back to like what I said, I like the contemporariness of it. I like that he tried, like he kind of gets in the politics and the like. It's Star Wars. It's like, you know, like he's trying to do something with, you know, showing the politics and the bureaucracy that kind of can lead to wars and friction in between a lot of different cultures, if you will, right? So
yeah,
I'm not like it is like, but it's like if you're gonna, you know, George Lucas always said, I made this for kids, and that's kind of how he made a lot of excuses for things like that.
He stands by that too.
But yeah, I mean, just read the like, I mean, I think it's been talked to death about, but I mean, it's pretty funny. But do you guys? I mean, Goob, do you understand what's going? Like, do we understand what's going on here? Like with like why they're like, because it took me a long time like watching it over and over, and I had to do research to like understand like what the actual deal was.
Yeah, it sounds like they trying to extort them niggas for money.
Right.
Yeah, they're like, look, man, we see y'all want to like trade shit, y'all got to pay the price. So this called a tariff, fam. You gonna pay what you owe. End of the story, bro.
I'm gonna be real. It made a lot. It gave me way more questions than answers for sure, and not in like the good kind of way, not in like
economics,
what's gonna happen.
bro.
I was very like, well, you know, I was. That's what it was. I had questions about their economics, and like I feel like for, you know, a movie about space wizards, that's probably not the questions I should be asking.
Right. And all intents and purposes, from what I understand, it's just like they control trade routes, and they're basically extorting the Naboo people for whatever the taxes they're putting on it. Naboo's like, we're not paying.
So
that
like
anymore.
real life then. What's
right?
Up?
So like I kind of am with that. Like I think that's cool that we're like, it's complicated. It's obviously ridiculous that it's like this is made for kids, and we're like going that deep into like bureaucracy or whatever. But I thought that was
opening
cool.
text.
Yeah, it's really Anyways, not to stay on that. So yeah, on Naboo, the Phantom Menace begins with the arrival of the Naboo ship from the galactic capital of Coruscant. 2 ambassadors that were sent by the Supreme Chancellor, which is not Palpatine. Obviously, it's the guy that's in power right now that Palpatine wants to unseat or whatever.
Valerian.
And I point this out for a very specific reason, because it is a humongous fucking plot hole that like really like just. I'll just say that because we'll come back to it in a bit. The 2 ambassadors aboard the craft are Jedi Knights Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So playing and they're like led into a conference room and are told to wait for the Federation representatives. Obi-Wan's like trying to like is worried about like what's going on, and I think Qui-Gon says something about like it being the negotiations will be quick. I think he calls like the Tread Federation like dumb or something.
I got something right there. Something just stood out in that scene where like Obi-Wan, like one of the first things he says is he's like, I've got a bad feeling about this, and like literally Qui-Gon's response is, I don't sense anything. And I'm like, what? You don't sense anything? Like you went into like hostile territory. You're a Jedi. Yeah. What do you mean? Like, anyways.
Well, and then then later they're just like sitting because they like send the droid, and the droid comes back, and they're like, because one of the guys is like, what the fuck going on? These are Jedi. What the fuck? Like, he's like not in on this apparently because the Viceroy or whatever, the Tread Federation has made this fucking like deal with Palpatine or whatever, right? Because that's and he's like playing back channels to kind of set this humongous plan in motion that's going to put him in power that he's trying to play. And he's originally, because Palpatine is originally from Naboo, he's a senator, and he's trying to, he's trying to scheme. He's playing the long game, whatever, which he always does. Or
the
whatever.
master craftsman out here,
right? Which is cool. I like Palpatine. I like how that he just like is very manipulative. Kind of obviously as the Sith dealing in those sorts of
absolutes.
And so, all right. So I'm gonna switch to this is the Wikipedia version because this one is just more straightforward instead of like commentary. So all right. To negotiate with Trade Federation, Darth Sidious, Sith Lord, and the Trade Federation's secret benefactor orders the Viceroy to kill the Jedi and begin their invasion with an army of battle droids. The Jedi escape and flee to Naboo. I thought, like, for the most part, this opening sequence was pretty cool. Like, we saw Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi for the most part. They looked dope. I think for the time, obviously the CGI droids, I thought they looked fine. I think they show the signs of the time, but I didn't think they looked awful.
Yeah, it wasn't
but
garbage.
For the most part, yeah, it wasn't we got to see the Jedi do new things. I thought the lightsaber in the door thing was something really, really cool. We never got to see. Cool. We never got to see a lightsaber do stuff like that. And now with the new technology, we got to see some cool stuff.
Wait. But how does it not melt his hands?
It just
because he's a Jedi. Because the Force, man. They know how to do it.
Steel melting around his hands.
Hey, man, but he's got force fields and shit. I don't know. I'm willing to suspend disbelief there. I'm not going to get that.
Are you some type of engineer?
I'm just saying. That was one of the first things I thought about. I was like, man, if you're welding a hole in a door, that shit would melt all over your hand. I don't know.
There is a really cool video of this is very not off topic, but just side. They made an actual lightsaber. Man, that shit would be hot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is very cool to see.
But
yeah,
I think at the point, yeah.
A lot of that action in that whole scene, weird story stuff aside, all that opening is that.
Yeah.
The things that they're doing is actually pretty dope. I like a lot of that.
By the time you come
compared to Star Wars in previous ones, where James Earl Jones is fighting old man Kenobi. Of course, it's a significant upgrade.
They're just walking around each other.
Yeah. By the time you come to from being confused on whatever is going on in the opening scroll and what is happening, why they're there, you get to see some cool Jedi stuff, and I think it was cool for a little bit. So unless you guys have anything on that one, I'm just gonna keep going to so the Jedi escape and flee to Naboo, and during the invasion, Qui-Gon saves the life of a Gungan outcast, Jar Jar Binks, from being run over
relief, baby,
by a droid transport. So we meet Jar Jar for the first time in his, clumsy, very animated personality. I guess on Jar Jar, obviously, I'm not a big fan of the character of Jar Jar.
Yeah.
But how long into the movie, did it take you guys to realize that? Was it instant? Oh, this character sucks, or was it later?
It was not instant.
Yeah. When were you annoyed by Jar Jar? At what
point? The first moment I saw.
Okay.
I don't know. It just seemed. I feel like you can see it really when. Movies do a good job of telling you what's going to happen, right? They give you, Obi-Wan. He's the young one who's got not a good grasp on the future, so that's why he has the bad feeling. But then Qui-Gon's like, "No, be cool, live in the moment," and then that's who they are. They're gonna be the entire movie series.
Yeah.
And then you get Jar Jar, he's a fucking goon, and that's what he's gonna be. So at the outset, I was like, "Nah, I don't really. This is kind of a little bit much." But
he has no stakes. He has what did he didn't? It's what did he do? Did he do this crazy thing that got him banned? He's I was clumsy. There's nothing. There's nothing even to latch on to.
It's very slapstick, yeah.
It's just literally the most hollow thing. No stakes. He's just literally dumb and clumsy, and just gets lucky, and a lot of things happen that he affects in the main storyline. And it's just I think for me, I'm kind of with Goob in the sense that if he was just that scene, that happened and he gets them to Gungan City and then he kind of falls by the wayside, goes back to what I'm saying? He could just be a plot device character, I guess, in the sense that, Star Wars has little characters that pop up every now and then. And I don't think it would have been as bad, but yeah, I think it was more so the fact that he played such a huge role, throughout this plot, which obviously they kind of realize their mistake and correct in the next movie. But
yeah, agreed. I think that's my biggest problem with him as well, is he just gets so much screen time. He's never not on the screen once he's introduced.
Yeah. So, because I know, I guess that's how I'll boil Jar Jar down, because he's going to come up later and do some silly things. But I believe I was listening to, before we move on, what I thought was cool is I think somebody on Kind of Funny said this, because I think me and Jay at least, and are big fans of Kind of Funny and have listened to their Star Wars interview. But I forget who it said, but it was had put out the idea of one of the general of the Gungans, the one that saves Jar Jar. He's this older guy. If they would have used him in place of Jar Jar and because he was actually a hardened general, and maybe he did something that got him banished that was actually serious, and it was a whole story of his redemption of like coming back to his people and like leading, because he was actually a hardened general, could have led in the battle and all this kind of stuff. Could have been really cool. I was like, that could have been real. I just thought that was a cool idea that I'd heard that could have made a lot more sense and been
anything
a lot,
than him being
instantly
a
made.
goon.
Yeah, instantly made this movie a lot better. Captain Tarple, I think, was that's later. I think I don't think that's right. So, anyways, moving on. Indebted to Qui-Gon, Jar Jar leads the Jedi to Ota Gunga, the underwater city of Naboo.
What's it called?
Ota Gunga.
Oh, okay.
OTOH is the first one. Ota
Also,
Gunga.
question about that scene.
Yes.
Just real quick.
The swimming.
So not even that. When they first when Jar Jar first goes into what's very clearly a lake,
Right.
you could see like the other side of the lake, and then they get underwater, and it's just like an ocean, and it's like this massive like.
It's like a small
Jason
opening. It's all
Momoa's,
underground,
Aquaman
right?
City.
But like that whole planet, I think is like hollow because they like go through the core. So I think like it's very porous planet. Maybe like there's a lot of like underwater things. Like
Fair enough.
it's just like a little.
It's kinda like
opening into the
Wakanda,
into the
really.
planet. Yeah.
Ooh, hidden. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What did y'all think of the Gungan city? Obviously kind of the like there's a couple of bad green screen shots I think that show this. Maybe I can't tell if it's maybe just bad or just a sign of the times. I don't have. But either way, like when they walked into the city, the characters looked very kind of. They reminded me of that meme with that like video of the person that's like falling through the atmosphere that has that repeating techno thing. Yeah. When they're swimming, if you just watch the end of when they're about to go into the city, like just them swimming, it like that's kind of what it reminds me.
Shooting Stars. That's the name of that song.
Yeah. So you'll probably never watch it again. But so
another question right there. Then you're talking about how fake like some of the characters look. So something that like stood out to me in this is like how much they abandoned like all like the practical characters that they use in like the original trilogy.
Yeah. They went obviously that's a big problem with the prequels. George like goes way too far and just gets super excited. Like it's 1999. Like all the technology is perfect now. Like we can just use like CGI and like nope. Too far.
Yeah, I mean they like didn't use it for all the characters, but man,
it wasn't
taste.
It was just over too heavy-handed.
Geez.
Yeah.
And I think that's what that because that kind of connects to what I was about to say. As far as how the city looks and how it makes me feel. I mean, it's okay, but kind of a lot of the stuff in this movie, just the shots aren't as good as other films. And I think a reason for that is because of the CGI and because of the lack of proper, really good practical effects. You make up for that with wider shots or just panning shots. Nothing's held for too long. Nothing's really set up. I mean, we get the wide shot when we go down and we see the city for the first time, and then we get that kind of weird side shot when they come in, and then we get in there. It's just in that room. There's no atmosphere. What's going on? No one really like a close up of someone looking at Jar Jar like making a face, or just like everything being as it was before. We get put in there. That's usually what makes a good scene, right? You get to see. Like the opening cantina and and A New Hope. You've seen the action in there before our characters get there. You don't really get that kind of a sense from the Gungan City, so it kind of makes it a little bit, not as interesting. So,
right. No, I agree. I think from by and large, the original trilogies look better, and they were made with a lot less technology. So, I mean, there's just some bad. Remember that shot I sent you guys in Instagram when like Obi-Wan Kenobi had the hairpiece on, like where that pickup shot, like there's just like bad shots. Like that's an
easy shot to see
bad.
too. It's not like like a quick stunt double clip. That it comes back maybe twice. I want to say you can see they hang on to it for more than just a frame. No,
it's more like
blatant.
it's really bad. But even like just the quality of the shots, like out of focus. It's like seems like I don't know. Just and it's like a weird angle. It just seems like it's obviously. There were some problems. So, all right. Where was I? All right. So the Jedi try to persuade the Gungan leader, Boss Nass, which I didn't mind him. I didn't mind the head Gungan guy. I thought he was obviously him being CGI, it wasn't great. It could have been cool if it was practical or something, but didn't mind his character. And so to help the planet's surface he tries to persuade him to help the planet's surface dwellers, but is unsuccessful. However, they manage to obtain a transport and they free Jar Jar, unfortunately, to take him on this adventure because he says they might need a navigator through the core. So they go through the core. They have 3 different fish attack them. Well, 2 different fish attack them, and they have 2 different fish attack them, and then what I like to call Godzilla Jedi Water Guardian, because he just keeps on, and that apparently that big huge fish is a big fan of Jedi because he saves him twice. So, which I actually kind of liked the design of the big one, but either way, that was fine. That scene I didn't.
There is always a bigger fish rage.
Yeah, that was fine. So
that was fun.
Yeah. I liked the shot of the when he was like on the rock and he tore the head off and just threw the rest of the fish. That was dope. I enjoyed. I'm a big Godzilla fan. What can I say? Anyways, so they rescue the queen, Padme Amidala, and escape from the blockaded planet because they had captured the queen. They had evaded all that stuff, which I said this to Goob when I was watching some of it at his house. You never see any people on the fucking planet in Naboo, ever. I know they're Goob's saying they're hiding or something, but you would think they put a couple of scenes of just some people getting taken away, or it's just like the queen and the Queen's Guard and her immediate the pilots and the Jedi, and some droids. You don't see any part of Naboo until I feel like the celebration at the end. I just thought it was very weird, and it was just always this place is empty always. I don't get it. Anyways.
Well, I mean, they're under invasion, bro. You want to hide, man. You don't want to just be out in the street and motherfucker kill
but
and
even
shit, man. That's law.
But yeah, I mean, I guess it they I don't know. It doesn't matter.
But you would think that they would have a setup of showing people who are hiding or something. Something that give you a connection to the planet itself. So
right. All right, so they escape from the blockaded planet on the starship, and this is where we are introduced to a beloved character, R2-D2, because they are leaving the planet, and going straight at the blockade, get hit, and their shield generator gets hit, because I guess the guy forgot to put up the shields before he hit the blockade. I don't know. And so they send the army of battle droids out, and there are actually, if you look closely, I'm pretty sure there's 2 identical looking R2-D2 droids in the original room. 2 of them go up and they look the same. But when they get out there's only 1. Anyways.
Yeah, they're all different. Yep.
But so they get out there, there's 4 of them. They're all getting shot, and of course, our boy R2 fixes the shield generator. I actually do remember this scene. I know a lot of people, I don't know. I think some people didn't like it. Thought it was a little heavy-handed, didn't need it. It was just trying to fan service to R2. But I remember seeing it when I was a kid, and I actually really was pumped to see R2 and see him say.
My note here is R2's intro is dope.
Yeah.
My note here is, how does Obi-Wan not recognize R2 in episode 4?
We aren't there yet. Question. We aren't there yet. Save it. But we aren't there yet. Okay, so I'm gonna have to
what?
Change headphones in a bit. So, all right. So, actually, I'll just do this. Sorry, guys.
Just plug it in, bro.
I got it. All right. Bet. So, where were we? All right. The ship is damaged as they pass the Federation blockade, and the hyperdrive is because it's caught in crossfire. It's useless. Whatever. They land for repairs on the desert planet of Tatooine, because it's controlled by the Hutts, and they're not looking for him, as Qui-Gon states. So they got the advantage. So they get there. At this point, I believe there is some back and forth with the Trade Federation and Palpatine. I don't remember. I think Darth Maul gets introduced in the background of the hologram or something. So we find out at some point Darth Maul is now tracking them because they lost him. So They land for repairs, and Qui-Gon, Jar Jar, R2, and Padme, which at this point we think that's not the queen, it's just a handmaiden, Padme, because we know her name is Padme Amidala, and nice little trick they got there to keep her safe and keep people off balance.
Another thing right there.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that Keira Knightley constantly sends Padme to do she's like, hey, go clean R2, go dust that thing off
it's a little
quick.
strange. Why? It's because why are they hiding?
It's for the trick, bro.
Why are they hiding the queen right next to her decoy? Wouldn't you think that when they were held hostage on Naboo, wouldn't they be like, all right, well, I'm gonna kill your handmaiden? Oh, whoops.
Well, on your point,
that's actually the
no,
queen.
yeah. But on your point, but they're hiding it from the Jedi. I guess they're that paranoid because it's
maybe.
you know what I'm saying, but on the ship they're hiding it from the Jedi, which in my mind I'm I thought they would trust the Jedi, but I guess the Naboo don't really trust anybody right now, which I guess can understand because their planet's being bombarded. They don't trust their trust is shaken in the Republic because they're how can they let this happen to us? They're on their because they need to get back to Coruscant. That's because they tell Padme or the Queen she needs to come because she wants to stay with her people, but she needs to go because to debate on the Senate floor or whatever and say hey, this is illegal, whatever. And we'll get to that in a second, which again, that's going to be a plot hole. So they get to Tatooine, they go to the city or whatever. And Padme is not the queen. Disguised, so they visit the settlement of Mos Espa to purchase spare parts at a junk shop, and they meet Watto. I think Watto's great. I think Watto's a cool character. He's one of the
Watto?
Decent, the cool characters of this movie. I don't really have much problems with Watto. I like his design.
He's the slave
great.
owner.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I love how they don't make it, but this is a child slave. They don't want to make that big of a deal. It's man, shit, that's just normal shit around here, man.
The fact that Watto
it's interesting.
Can't be... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say my note for here is it's dope that Watto can't be mind tricked. One fucker you need to mind trick.
Yeah, he's
right
bro,
now.
what are you doing?
Yeah. So I like Watto, and I also think it's an interesting the whole slavery thing, you're saying, Goob. It's these slaves have their own house and stuff. So it's it's slavery with but you have to treat them well. You know what I mean? You can tell it's this different version. Obviously it's awful. Nobody likes slavery, and Anakin especially hates it, and that. But
it's
it is just interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah. But I'm just saying they have their own house and stuff, and they're living they don't.
Oh yeah.
Too bothered
cool.
by it.
Yeah, it's cool if you got your own house, bro. My bad.
I'm not saying it's cool. I'm just saying it's a different they're
you digging
thriving.
A hole, man.
Oh fuck.
No, I'm not saying I'm not for slavery. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's a accepted form of slavery that is existing obviously in this world.
It's no, bro. It's cool. It's cool. They got their own house, bro.
Yeah,
it's
that's
cool.
what I'm saying. I'm actually saying they just did slavery right. No, I don't want my videos recorded on saying that.
Hold on, guys. There's a right way to do this.
Anyways, just an observation, peeps. God. Anyways. All right, so they meet Watto and 9-year-old slave, Anakin Skywalker, a gifted pilot engineer who has built a protocol droid, C-3PO. Qui-Gon senses a strong presence of the Force within Anakin and is convinced that he is prophesied as the chosen one.
Yes.
Unable to...
that apparently he only believes
Jesus.
in.
Right.
So, question with that. Question with the prophet. Or wait, should I just hold all these for the question portion?
No, you can bring it up whenever you're ready. I think we're just going to go through this.
So question with the prophecy. The prophecy is somebody's going to come along and bring balance to the Force, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So in a world where there's, to their knowledge at this point, nothing but Jedi, why would bringing balance to the Force be a good thing? Wouldn't that mean the Sith are going to take over for a little bit and bring some balance?
That's a good question.
No, I
because it
understand
seems
what
the Sith aren't really a thing. I mean, they talk about them, but even if it's what they suspect just being two, they can't possibly be. I mean, we find out spoilers if they are, but they shouldn't be a problem for the Jedi currently, right?
Well, they're not. You're right. Stokes is a good point in the sense that in the current timing, in the Star Wars universe, everything is kind of all good. Like the Jedi kind of have control. There's this weird kind of like agreement that the Jedi Council and Order have with the Republic. Like there's no army. Like obviously that's the whole plot device behind the second one. But the Jedi just kind of like are security guards and just go out. Like they were sent there to do that by the Chancellor, and they just kind of work hand in hand to keep peace across the Republic. Right? It's just a glorified security force with a religion in the background. And so like you said, it's like, well, what balance? And I'm guessing they're meaning in the sense of just like, well, they can always get better. Like, there's still evil in the galaxy. They're saying it in the sense of, whatever. Like it'll bring balance to where we'll all be great. It's just like, but you're right. Like it is kind of like what exactly the stakes are a little weird in the sense that like the Sith isn't present, and so it's not like bring balance to this enemy that we're fighting, because they don't have an enemy yet, really, that they know of, instead of just the normal stuff. So I understand what you're saying. So, and like Jay said, this is very purely a Qui-Gon, bulldozing his ideal. Like he believes it, and Qui-Gon's he's kind of similar to Anakin in that way, and Obi-Wan in that way. This, obviously master apprentice type relationships where they kind of do their own thing. They're very strong willed and whatever. And so, Qui-Gon doesn't take no for an answer when, they say he's too old. Like they sense a,
he didn't let them Qui-Gons be Qui-Gons.
Yeah. Qui-Gon just casually taking a kid's blood without his permission. It's cool.
Yeah. Oh, I'm checking it for infections. It's cool, man.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Hey, my dude, check this dude's blood. Check this kid's blood for me. But all right. So
also, on that same point with the midichlorians, man, I just gotta say something. I do feel like The Last Jedi got the Force so much better than this movie did, because this movie is like, oh well, if you have the midichlorians are in all of your cells, and like that's what makes you Force sensitive. And I'm like, The Last Jedi, like when Luke is like teaching her all that stuff, I'm like, that's so much more of like what I feel like.
Yeah,
it is.
and I think, and the thing, and I'll just go to that point of just like, well, okay, are they retconning? Like, are they saying, well, that's wrong? And I think it still works in the same universe in the sense of the Jedi, like you see the fall of the Jedi through the trilogy. Like obviously that's what, we see the Jedi fall and their hubris brought them down, all that kind of stuff, themes you're talking about, which obviously we agree is really cool. But I think like that's kind of the part of I see it as more part of the point of just like, they're very focused on the religion and tradition and the midichlorians. Like they were too caught up in this kind of like
the
structure,
details, the
deity, and like all this kind of like just they were just caught in the past and they didn't evolve, and that's kind of what led to their downfall. And I think that's a cool thing. Again, like going to a contemporary version, if you want to go, like you can make parallels. Like I'm not trying to like make stretches and say it's like a direct commentary on like modern day Christianity or whatever religion you want to put in, like, but it is just playing with that like theme of like religion being a thing that can, that is, wars are fought over and have been historically, that ideals and like that's all that kind of stuff. So I think maybe that's me more gathering that in my own head, which again, like I've said, I'll probably do plenty of times, but I guess that's the way I think about it is, it's fine. The midichlorians can still exist and then later be like, but it's not really about the midichlorians. Like,
right.
But I know that could be,
but they definitely won't say it ever again. Thank God.
Yeah. It's like, right. So, all right. So this is also where we meet Shmi, Anakin's mom, who has a weird conversation where apparently, Anakin
Space Jesus.
Immaculately conceived. But
Jesse was not having this bit at all. I was trying to explain it to him.
And I'm not either. I think this is very lazy, and I think, but I also think it's a very like something they could very much correct if they wanted to. I think it would be cool if Anakin somehow was a clone that was created by the Sith or something. You know what I mean? And it was like implanted, and she says she didn't know how it happened or whatever. And that's just something that I thought about randomly. But yeah, but that's what it is. He was immaculately conceived. It sucked. Everybody, it's whatever. But so yeah, so where was I? All right, so meanwhile, while they're on Tatooine trying to figure out how to get a hyperdrive because they find one, but Qui-Gon has credits, and Watto's like, nah, that ain't the money I'm looking for. So they're in a bind. Meanwhile, Naboo's Senator Palpatine persuades. Wait a second. Sorry. All right. Sorry, I skipped ahead. So, sorry guys, I'm gonna get better at this as this podcast goes on.
So question with Palpatine real quick. How does, all right, so like surely the Trade Federation's like in the Senate, right? We see them in the Senate a couple of different times. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So how do they not recognize this dude? I mean, like he's only got like a
hood
on. You know what I mean? Like
right. No, it's like, oh, you see me? No, you don't. Because
he's like a pretty prominent member of the Senate that they had to have seen before. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah. We're going to be asked to suspend disbelief there. So, all right. So
that's a different branch of government altogether, bro.
Yeah.
It's like the legislative branch.
It was a different building. Yeah, it was the other building.
Okay.
All right, so unable to acquire the required hyperdrive parts due to the Republic's currency being worthless, on Tatooine, Qui-Gon wagers both the parts and Anakin's freedom with Watto in a pod race. Anakin, really takes over this stuff. It's like, look, I didn't. Watto doesn't know I built it. It's your pod. You gave it to me. Like, he's trying to get him into the race. His mom's like, no, and then obviously, whatever. They convince him otherwise to have this stranger boy risk his entire life for these strangers, and this, story they just found out about. So,
but it's the Force, bruh.
No, yeah, I'm with it. I mean, I would have done the same thing. It's cool.
Can we take a second to talk about how cool pod racers are?
Okay, now that's what we're getting to. So, the pod racing, the best. I guess it'd be the best part of this movie. I mean.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the
I'm gonna
pod
say it's my
racing,
favorite part. It's my
the two
favorite
best
part.
parts.
Yeah. No, I think the fight is the second, but I'm gonna like the sound. Like it's just like they spent all the time on this scene, and then the rest, then just like the leftover time they spent on the rest of the movie, and then like prioritize a little bit more time for the Duel of the Fates Darth Maul fight. But like it's so good. Like it really is. Like. The cinematography it takes it to a new level. Like the special effects are good. The sound design, fucking Sebulba's like gung 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 shit. Like it's so like, and especially if you watch it like in a good sound system and stuff, it sounds amazing.
It's like chugging.
Gosh, like it's such a fun. Like it's just like you're kind of bored and falling asleep and you're like, oh shit, like okay, here's something.
Now this is pod racing.
Yeah, now this is pod racing. Cool, and then after the pod race is over. Yeah. So obviously you guys.
So real quick on that pod racing scene, there's a couple of things I noticed. One, the announcer is voiced by Greg Proops, who's on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Who?
Is that the
Greg
taller
Proops.
guy?
No, that's Ryan Stiles.
What's his name? Greg Poops.
Yeah. Yes.
The one always had the glasses and like the tall hair.
Yes. So he was like a guest character.
Yeah, I can see that. That's dope.
Also, Rage, once you get into Clone Wars, you'll notice this, but behind Jabba, you can see Jabba's uncle, who's in several Clone Wars episodes, and Warwick Davis is in the scene as well.
Who's Warwick Davis?
Warwick Davis. Well, he's in Harry Potter. He's in a bunch of stuff.
So he's just he's just an extra in it. Like,
pretty prominent, like dwarf.
It's a cameo. It's a cameo, right? Whatever you're saying.
Or does he yes.
Okay. He doesn't play like a character.
Yeah, no, he's nobody major. He's just in the background, kind of hanging around. But look up Warwick Davis if you don't know who he is. You'll recognize him pretty much immediately.
It's like Ward. It's like Ward Dunn.
Yeah,
a little bit. I think they're cousins.
Tight. That's what I'm talking about.
So a question for the pod racing as well. Now I played this clip back a couple times. Whenever his pod fucks up on that last lap, he takes the little lever thing and then he pulls the piece back that gets his right pod to act correctly. Now, was that a magnet or was he using the Force to do that?
That was a magnet, dude. Come on, man.
Yeah,
it was a magnet.
Come on.
Yeah, it was just a magnet. It's like this magnet thing. I know, like, that's another thing, kind of referencing the Kind of Funny thing they were talking about how it would have been cool if they like Qui-Gon popped in his head and he could have used the Force and stuff. Like, and I agree that could have been cool. I'm fine with it not happening that way. Like, I think, he was, he had a very resourceful kid. Like, he figured it out. Like,
so we just know it was a magnet because
it looked like a net magnet. I think that's what it was.
I mean, it looked like
because they didn't. It wasn't played up or anything, and it happened so quickly. That's why I was confused. I was like, I'm not really sure what's happening here. I can't tell if this is it.
Yeah, I just assumed it was like a tool or something. Like everybody had like access to. It's like, pod racer. I need this thing in my car.
Okay, I got you.
Just in case my engine falls off mid race.
Yeah, you gotta expect that kind of stuff, bro.
When he like loses the engine because like Sebulba sabotaged him or whatever, and he like transfers the power between the engines and like uses it to replenish them. It's like a little far-fetched, obviously, but I mean, come on, we're watching podcasts.
No, I mean, I liked
how it showed him like just working through all this stuff in real time. Right. I mean, it's just like, where do you draw the line? But
well, it's cool because I mean, he's already we know who he is. We know his power level is over 9,000. We get all this bullshit, but it's told to us. So the only time in the movie that we get him actually doing something cool is this thing. I think this is stronger than even when
him
he
does him in
the fighter lady. He's like, yeah, well, he told me to stay here, so I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna go shoot shit up. That's dumb. Like, this is him in his element outside of all this other stuff. Right. This is him doing what he does, and I think it's really strong. I mean, Force or not, if it's a magnet, that's cool. I don't think it doesn't take anything from it that it's not. I was just confused about it, but I think that whole sequence of him figuring it all out, him doing everything, that's awesome. It makes him look like a cool character, and I think that's like
when he falls out of the sky, he like cuts the engines and like hits it. Like, it's cool. Like, that's just really cool moments.
This is some of the strongest character building stuff for anyone in
super
the movie.
rewatchable. I mean, holds up.
Yeah, he doesn't get too much else to do really that's like of significance, but that him being him and why we should care about him, I think it's super strong. That whole thing, top to bottom.
And all the other different pods, like all the different, like how they introduced all that, like it was cool. Like obviously they're thinking in their head, we're about to make a video game and make a lot of different toys off all these things, but it's like, it's cool, like all the different pod designs, and it was just
Also, like apparently, there's just no rules whatsoever in pod racing, right? I mean,
it's just like backyard racing
out here.
Yeah, just backyard racing.
Speed racing.
Sebulba was like
Gungan's up there just like hitting them.
Yeah, he was like throwing wrenches at people, man. Yep. He literally threw a wrench at a man's engine. I mean, shit was
cross finish line after 3 laps.
More Mario Kart than NASCAR.
It's like Mad Max out there.
Yeah, no, I was with it. Anything else on the pod racing? Goob, you got anything to add there?
I just like the little noises that they made.
Yeah.
Sounds like so good.
Anyways,
that's my favorite part.
So Anakin wins the race. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I just think that lady was, I know they was, trying to fight for their freedom or whatever, but I mean, that lady just let her son just compete in that race. Like, she didn't even hesitate. She like, oh, I don't do it, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, that lady's a piece of garbage.
Dang.
I mean, she did just like let her son go as like some strange dudes too.
Yeah, she was just like, oh man.
I mean, I know
this guy just took a blood sample of my son's arm. Like, hey, I'm gonna trust him. Like,
and the thing is, she saw him do it. She's just like, what?
But people know about Jedis. She knows this is an opportunity for her son, and like I get it. Like I understand where it's coming from. But
a man come to my house with some hair like Qui-Gon's. You're not taking my kids. I'm sorry.
Sure.
So time out then, Rage. This is this how Jedi recruit their new people? Is this a thing? They just kind of like they just take kids? Is that how it works?
From what it sets up in this movie, I guess. Like, I think obviously him being too old, they're trying to recruit kids at a younger age, and I'm sure there's some sort of more formal process within the council. But I'm sure if they stumble upon someone, that can happen. So. And obviously they had this weird, he's too young, he's too old rule, which he's not even that old. And obviously we see Luke much older get trained. So, that's later in the timeline. So it's like, I think it just goes along with what I was saying earlier about the Jedi being very old school at this point, if it were, and very kind of caught up in their traditions and rules.
Yeah.
And I also think Yoda, and I think it is a kind of a cool, like Yoda's afraid when he like sees Anakin. I don't think it comes across as strongly as it could have and was executed as well. But Yoda sees something. He's super clouded, like he says it, right? He like, yes, this kid is super freaking strong, but like they see his future being very like questionable, and like it's to where Yoda and Mace Windu are like very kind of hesitant, and I think Yoda is physically troubled at times. So
yeah,
which
I want to put a pin in that for
Yoda
the
don't know
end,
everything.
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, yes, Yoda does know everything, but
He don't know everything.
no, he doesn't. Even he will tell you he doesn't, because as I'm saying, throughout the prequels, we get to see the Jedi fall, and like it was not capitalized on well as it could have. But I liked the idea of like their hubris and being caught up in their ways, and like that's what like did them in. Like I'm cool with that theme. Obviously, they didn't execute on it well, but I think that's a cool theme.
It seems like that kind of dies with Qui-Gon. You know, Qui-Gon seems to be the one, while he's taking chances and kind of doing his own thing, he keeps saying, like, don't, live in the moment and try to figure this stuff out instead of thinking about everything you can see. Because if that's their power, that they have this sight and that's what they're kind of burdened with, you would want to be able to check yourself. And it seems like from what we got, Qui-Gon was kind of doing that. I mean, he gets cut down, obviously, but it seemed as if he was acting in the good of the Jedi and even believing something that he probably maybe shouldn't have, but also trying to balance it all,
Right.
And that's cool to see from him. And I guess, with him falling, that's what you're ultimately going to get. And it kind of just sets everything in motion, I guess. Right.
There's always people that kind of think they know better, and sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't. And I think throughout Star Wars, we see that played with. And I think it's just kind of more realistic. And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so Anakin wins the race, joins the group to be trained as a Jedi, leaving his mother Shmi.
What's her name? Shmi?
Shmi. I think it's. Does he say he's going to come back and rescue her or something? I know
he did.
But
Anakin
like
did.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll come back, mommy, and save you.
Yeah, he says he's going to free everyone, and then he tells her that he'll be back for her specifically.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, all right, so this is actually another really cool part of this movie that I really liked. When we finally see one of the coolest parts of the movie that is not utilized enough, Darth Maul, and what he can do.
Darth Maul's so whack.
On the way back to the starship, Qui-Gon encounters Darth Maul.
This fight is dope.
Apprentice, who attends to capture Padme. A lightsaber duel ensues, but Qui-Gon quickly disengages and escapes on board the starship before he introduces Anakin and Obi-Wan. This is so dope because he just realizes it. He just realizes it. He's like that. He comes on them so quick. Like he just tells Anakin to take off, and like it's like on like instantly, and like by the end of it, Qui-Gon's like Qui-Gon's like what? Like he like barely got out. He was like old man huffing and puffing, like he was definitely
that's such a cool detail.
Did just enough to like to get away, and like he wanted none of the business. Like he was trying. He's like, please pick me up. This dude's about.
Shouts out to Obi-Wan for making a good call too. He's like,
Obi-Wan's quick on his feet. Like we got to go. Like hover in.
Let's just pick him up.
Yeah, and the pacing of it was cool too. Like it all happened so quickly. Like there wasn't any like expositionary, like what these movies struggle with a lot. Just like exposition and talking about what we're gonna do. It's just like it was a cool little sequence. Really dope. He comes on. Don't know. Things just got more complicated. Cool scene. No.
Oh,
okay.
I have a quick note. Sorry. I thought someone was gonna say. I have a quick note for this bit. It might be coming up next, but in my notes it just says Padme out here looking like some vitamin water, and this is when she's in that
looking
full
like
orange.
A snack.
I hear with the full orange outfit. I think it might be coming up, but I just wanted to put that note out there into the universe for everyone to know about it.
Very much appreciate that.
Another little thing on Padme.
Oh shit.
Yep. So I mean, half the majority of the movie, like Keira Knightley is acting like she's the queen, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
It is a lot of the time. It's Keira Knightley.
So how much of the decisions is she making? How many of the decisions is she making?
My assumption is like Padme is always making the decisions. I think that's understood that at all times at some point they're having some sort of secret meeting.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing too, because you get a lot of the stuff where Knightley's being talked to directly, and you see Padme, I guess, behind her, and like it's almost like she's biding time. She's like, cool. Well, I got to think about that, or I got to do this, and then she makes a decision later. I do think it's kind of funny though that I guess it's a big galaxy. You can't know everything, but she is Queen Padme Amidala, right? Like that's her full name that's on her title, yet she's being called Padme by everybody, which I think is like not the best disguise.
It's quite disrespectful, really.
And I think while we're even talking about Padme, and we kind of hinted about it earlier, but just the writing for her character, the things she's given to do, like
she's very monotone.
She's just
sometimes.
sitting, like she's just like it's like the way she was directed to be so monotone and stuff. But I guess like I don't like. But,
I mean, she couldn't have been spoken out. She's the handmaid. Like, everything that we get from her is from the handmaid's perspective, you know. So I guess it's one of the few kind of. I mean, because it's not obviously, but a lot of bad directing across the board, especially for the the actual actors themselves. But for in this one instance, it kind of works because she can't really stand out.
No,
she
I
exerts
think
herself a couple times, and she has some really good. Even actually on what we just left, there are a couple good moments with her and with Qui-Gon, where Qui-Gon's like, well, the queen's gonna have to deal with this bullshit, you know? And she like huffs and puffs about it because she knows she's the queen, but she can't say shit, you know? So I think it kind of works. It is bad, but it does kind of work a little bit.
There's just so much left on the table in the sense that like she's the super young queen, right? And we never really get to like see her struggle. Like it's just more she's just a background character. Like I think I'll defend the whole like monotone thing. Like you said, I also think she's a handmaid and that's to be on purpose. She can't like reveal that she's a queen. But then also even as the queen, like I think there's this like regal kind of like majesty type like ritualistic like tone the queen like I think that I get why she's so kind of like even keel as when she's like in her garb or whatever. But again, just like the things they give her to do, like the weird moments with Anakin, like where sometimes just like, oh, they're just kind of friends, but it's just like, why the weird awkward interactions? Like it could have just been like, just make it a cool little pally friendship thing, and then like later when they're older they can like fall for each other. Like we don't need any hinting at that right now. You don't need to like we don't need to foreshadow that. Like it's cool. That'll be fine. It's fine if we figure that out later, or we'll like know we're gonna know anyways because we'll probably see it coming. But it's just like the interactions were weird. There's just a failure to really explore such a cool theme with her being a young queen and trying to do the best thing she can as a child for her like people. And it sucks that none of that was like used. So just some shout outs to my girl Padme and Natalie Portman, which from what I've never done a lot of reading, but I don't think she loved hindsight of this role. I don't think she was crazy about it as an actress.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because she is a great actress. It's like she looks awful in this movie. Like not looks, she looks amazing, but like she looks like a bad actress at times, and obviously it's probably not her fault, which sucks. So, all right, so where was I? All right, so Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan escort Padme to Coruscant so that she can plead her people's case to Valorum and the Galactic Senate. Qui-Gon asks the Jedi Council for permission to train Anakin as a Jedi, but the Council refuses, concerned that Anakin is vulnerable to the dark side of the Force. Fear. So much fear. I think is what Yoda said, something like that. And Anakin's like, nah, I ain't scared of nothing. And Yoda's like, all right. So
you scared of sand?
I think, it's obviously like Anakin is like. Oops, sorry, I hit my mic. It's obvious that Anakin, and as we see him, he's afraid of a lot of things. So, so before I move on, I want to make sure I don't skip over this. Okay, so undaunted, Qui-Gon vows to take up Anakin as his new apprentice. Meanwhile, Naboo's Senator Palpatine persuades Amidala to call for a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum to elect a more capable leader and to resolve the crisis. So, all right, so I'm going to stop right here. So in this scene, and this is, I think, one of the biggest that makes me so mad, is when I don't know if you guys remember the scene, but they go up and she's like, they've invaded us. None of this is legal. Like, what the hell is going on? Help us out here. And remind you, like, in the beginning of the movie, who did the Chancellor send to fix the problem? 2 Jedi, right? Mm-hmm, that have also returned from that really, like, the being attacked and killed and, like, they were sent by him. And there was never any meaning to be like, hey guys, we were there, we saw them, it's messed up, we got to help them out. It was sent by the same person, but yet in the Senate when they're arguing this, literally the idea, because like she starts talking, and then the Trade Federation like little pod and their like representatives or lobbyists or whatever you want to call them pop up and are like, she's lying. We're not doing that. Everything we're doing is legal. There's nothing happening. Nothing to see here. And there's like their word against ours. And then they're like, all right, well, what if we send another team to like check it out and to make sure you're being truthful. And we literally just had the Jedi that you sent come back, and they're just like next door talking about Anakin. Like, what?
Where's the report? Come do your job, guys. What's happening here?
We just, there's no,
Jedi
just call them
don't
real
do
quick. It's
report,
like, hey, y'all were just there. Was this happening? And Qui-Gon be like, yeah, they tried to murder us. So
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, we got really
this is not
distracted by this
legal.
kid with some midichlorians. I started gambling on some pod races. I don't really remember.
just like so blatant, like I know unforgivably, like that's literally what happened in the beginning of the movie. But it's just that was the biggest thing for me, and so one of the biggest ones for me. And so yeah, basically, and then Palpatine like says in her ear, while like that's a bureaucrat next to the Chancellor who like makes him suggest that the thing that they've already done, and I guess forgot about and couldn't talk to Qui-Gon or Yoda or Obi-Wan about. And so, yeah, it's obviously nothing's going to happen. And that's when she does the vote of no confidence. And
Very dramatic scene.
Right, very dramatic. And then obviously Queen Amidala grows frustrated with the corruption in the Senate and decides
She's
to return
pissed.
to Naboo.
I'm going
She's
home.
like, fuck this shit.
Taking
I'm
matters into
out.
my own hands.
All y'all dumbass politics bullshit, which is,
Just
you
don't
know,
give a damn what happens.
Yeah,
We get the
yeah.
fuck
I'm
outta
going
here.
to save my people. Jar Jar said something about an army. Let's go. So, all right. So Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are ordered by the Jedi Council to accompany the Queen and investigate the return of the Sith, whom they had believed to be extinct, but now they don't because they just saw Darth Maul.
After shutting
right.
down the homie and everything
Right.
that they wanted to do with that.
Right. So now we are set in motion to another way to go back to Naboo and save the people. So Naboo, Padme reveals herself to the Gungans as Queen Amidala and persuades them to join in an alliance against the Trade Federation. Jar Jar is promoted to general just because he had a good idea, I guess. So I guess automatically he can command an army and it'll be all good.
He's a Sith Lord.
Right,
Yes,
something like
Secret
that.
Sith Lord,
And joins his tribe in a battle against the droid army, while Padme leads the search for Gunray in Theed, which is the Trade Federation people. During a battle in the starship hangar, Qui-Gon tells Anakin to wait in the cockpit of a vacant starfighter. Darth Maul has infiltrated the palace, and lightsaber battles with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, which is kind of a cool moment. They're like, they walk in, they're trying to.
When the door opens up.
Oh, door
and
opens,
the
yeah.
music
We finally
starts.
see him. We finally get what literally the best, what we've
Been
been
waiting
waiting
2 hours for.
Yeah, Deal with the Face kicks in. They're like, we'll handle this. They say to take the long way. Dope. All right, cool part. That props there.
They start repelling from some windows and shit.
Not yet.
Oh, okay,
So they take the
okay.
long way, and then they have to they're going around, and then two droid decais or three of them or something pop up, and then they're pinned, and so Anakin's like, we gotta help R2. What do we do? And turns the ship on, but it's on autopilot, and so he shoots them, but it's tracked on to the group that's went up to the blockade to try and disable the control ship. So Anakin.
Quick small shout out, Rage. I love the Queen ship. I know a lot of people have problems with Naboo's kind of clean.
It looks like
vibe or whatever,
Mandalorian
but-
armor.
Yeah,
the blue
her
scar,
ship is.
you know what I'm saying?
That
Super
ship is
shiny
awesome.
stuff.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's probably not, but I don't know. I agree.
And the
even
Naboo fighters
opening
are also
ship.
pretty cool.
I thought the opening ship, from the beginning, the one that gets the destroyed,
The chrome
on
one?
the
Yeah.
Jedi, or it's red, the one that comes on. It's a very
Yeah, it was kinda like a-
similar looking to the original in A New Hope that gets captured, but different enough. But it's still in the same kind of because it's both Republic ships. I thought that was kind of cool. Just a small tidbit, but all right. So so Anakin's on his way up on autopilot. Again, we talked about this. Just make him defiant and have him not be oh, what's this button do? Oh, let's spin. He's obviously shown he's a good pilot. Just let him take over as a kid and fuck some shit up instead of all the accidental hijinks. I guess Anakin does the Jar Jar thing in this scene, sort of. So, anyways,
Lightsaber battle.
So Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, Anakin inadvertently triggers the Starfire's autopilot. Blah, blah, blah. Maul mortally wounds Qui-Gon with his lightsaber, but is then bisected by Obi-Wan and falls down a pit. So this fight is great. It is really great. It's cool how they they're the way they Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan kind of play off of each other. Like Darth Maul is obviously really powerful. Like Obi-Wan kind of keeps getting separated, just kind of showing his youthfulness, as it were. Just getting knocked off, and but you can kind of see how powerful he is. How he can Obi-Wan jumps and has the force power to jump super high distances and stuff. But
he can't speed run again though.
Right. No, I know, right? Yeah, we saw that once, but can't use it again.
Can't use that power anymore.
Yeah, right. Which is such a cool power. Why? You'd be so cool to see just more. Even still, we still haven't seen it. Even in the new.
He could have speed run to the first block and then just been blocked. But even that they didn't do. So it's kind of weird. But.
So silly. It is. It's just silly. But yeah. So, and then the. I'm okay with Obi-Wan figuring out a way to beat Darth Maul, but not like that. It's just.
Goop,
it's
what do you think about that scene?
Man,
that little bullshit, man. Man gonna jump out of the goddamn cave. He's sitting there hanging down there and just, let me pull my lightsaber. But you didn't cut. That's some bogus shit. And then literally in another movie, he say the same shit to Anakin. And then, but he get his shit split up. You know what I'm saying? It's goofy ass shit. I don't know why I watched this shit. I'm done, man. I quit. I'm out of here.
And I'd even say the way Qui-Gon died was just kind of anticlimactic. He just gets pushed
just stabbed
pushed
one
in
time.
the chest. He's like, oh God, and then he just is completely disarmed for a pause, and then it's just it
Also,
was going so well until that point.
Is force healing not a thing in this movie?
I mean, no, that's not a thing yet. But that's okay because they figure that out later.
I think this is
8 episodes later.
I think this is the first, pardon the pun, first casualty for this series under George Lucas's, kind of unfettered rule, right? I mean, we know for a fact that he wanted to kill certain people in the original trilogy, but people told him, no, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Here he has kind of complete authority and no one's going to tell him no at this point because he created, this sci-fi as we know it. So I'm sure that's his idea, right? Just go ahead and kill him off. Now, I think Qui-Gon dying kind of thematically works maybe even better than either the same or better than Obi-Wan the way he dies. Because Obi-Wan sacrificed himself, right? I don't think Qui-Gon doesn't sacrifice himself in that same kind of way. However,
he doesn't.
him being the only person who kind of believes in Annie and wanting him to be trained and all this stuff like that, they don't really play off of it as much as they do with the Obi-Wan thing. But I think that one means more to the story because we know what happens to Annie. One of the big points that I want to get to after you wrap up here is just what they do with his mother and just how they take him from his home and how they kind of separate him. They do it in a way that's super clumsy and not forceful enough to get us to where he's going to go. Because if we have this character that we know is going to be the darkest there is, he has to have some kind of tipping point. But at the moment, everything kind of seems coincidental, and that's going to lead us to the point where his tipping point is just kind of teen antics. It's not really, he doesn't really have a reason to be as pissed as he is. And if they were more forceful with these things, if they were maybe more forceful with his interaction with Qui-Gon and then Qui-Gon died and then maybe did something different with his mother dying. I know they do kill her eventually, but probably not in the right way. Don't separate them in the right way. If they could have done that better, I think the ending that we get from him, spoilers for episode 3, could be better because they took the time to actually tear this kid apart. I mean, fucking Luke, his family's burned to a crisp, he bounces back seemingly kind of quickly from that, but that's still a very dark scene to see to kind of get him on his journey. And we don't really get that anything as intense as that for Anakin in any of these movies. So
no, this is the part where he gets burned alive in the volcano.
Well, that's him though. I'm saying, and he's already on 10 at that point.
Okay, you talking about the child? Okay, the child.
Well, yeah, I'm saying to get him to that point, right? Because by the time he gets there, he's far gone. It doesn't matter what happens to him. He's already fucking exploded and doing his thing. But there's nothing about his life that gets him to that point where he should be that angry. And I think that's kind of problematic for building the fucking worst guy in the galaxy.
Yeah, no, it's just, and the stakes are so high for like telling the backstory of the most notorious like bad guy of Darth Vader, like in 3 acts. You know, like it's Anakin's story, right? And man, it's just, and it is such a, like, there's so much darkness, and even like things that happen that are going to happen in the next movie, and whatever, like really dark things that happen are just such like, if you could imagine like the darkness of Empire and like Rogue One, like, you know, I'm thinking what possible, like when Cassian kills that guy, like there's some like just the darkness of like what actually has to happen, and the things, like he goes through some really fucked up shit, and I don't know if it's the whole like trying to make it a kid movie, like internal battle that George Lucas went through, but it's just like these themes were so like just, they fell flat, and they were just very ripe, I feel like, to really do some really, really cool stuff with, that unfortunately we didn't get. But at the end of the day, we still get the story of Anakin, and the way I always just kind of like think about it, and when I talk to people about it, is I always like say the prequel trilogy is kind of just like a like fever dream. Like it's just like a a dream that's like in just like broken pieces, and then just kind of like you know, it's just a bad trip. But the story is still like there, and it's like canon, and like, all right, we understand A to B to C, but just the way they told it is just like not great, you know.
The dirtiest the details.
Right. So yeah, it's disappointing. For sure.
Not for me.
So I guess I'll just finish this, unless you guys got anything else. I'll just finish. Only a couple of sentences left from the plot.
Yeah, go ahead.
So during, all right, so let me see. All right, so Anakin's up. So Anakin blunders into the control ship's hangar. He was like, whoops, I'm inside the hangar. And like, you know, and then just shoots the gun in a random direction, and just that happened to hit like the most vulnerable part of the ship that happened to be in that hangar that any ship could, you know, just ridiculous and awful.
But it's okay when Luke does it.
Right. That's what are you talking about? It's not the same thing.
Bait and switch.
They kind of had a little bit more of a plan that time. Because literally, like, they go up there, they're trying to shoot the place. They don't know how to take this. If Anakin, it would have been fine. Like, he's just like, man, we can't probe. Like, as a kid, if you could have figured out, like, there's got to be a way I can get inside and do some damage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just, it didn't need to be the like fucking blunder, the accident, you know. And I guess like I'll play devil's advocate a little bit and just be like, oh, well, it's the Force working in mysterious ways, but it's just like, I can just feel your guys' eyes rolling. You know, I know, it's just so like, yeah, like I'm not gonna try and defend that.
I like the idea that Anakin blunders into the whatever spot is actually in the script.
yeah, it's just. Anyways, so causes destruction from within before escaping, deactivating the droid army in the process. And then, so obviously, then there's the battle going on back on Naboo. Jar Jar is just falling over himself, never gets shot, kills a bunch of droids just because, and then eventually gets captured because he's like on it. It's just so bad. It's so bad. And the battle looked dope. Like I liked the Gungan kind of like shield and their more primitive weapons, and like there was the kind of big green field. Naboo as a planet is pretty like with all the. You know, it like looked cool, but obviously it was a little ridiculous I'm sorry, it's Jar Jar's fault. So, so as he lies dying, Qui-Gon requests Obi-Wan to train Anakin, and dies in Obi-Wan's arms. Palpatine is elected Chancellor, and there's a really weird moment, like when like Palpatine lands back on Naboo after the battle or whatever, and he like goes up to Anakin and Obi-Wan. Doesn't say anything until Obi-Wan's like, "Hey man, sorry you just lost your like master and everything." He's just like, "Anakin, we're gonna be watching your career quite you know with a lot of interest and stuff." He's like, "Hey, what's up, Obi-Wan?" Okay, but like, and he just like just didn't mention it all. It's not like, "Hey, sorry about whatever." Jesus. So I just like brushes it off. Like Chancellor and Gunray is arrested. Yoda promotes Obi-Wan to the rank of Jedi Knight and reluctantly accepts Anakin as Obi-Wan's apprentice. During a celebratory parade, Padme presents a gift of thanks to Boss Nass that she bought at Spencer's Gifts and the Gungans to the Gungans to establish peace. It just reminds me of those things you saw, like Spencer's Gifts that you could like touch.
Yeah.
And
The lightning things. Yeah. Tesla
That's
balls.
awesome.
So, and that's which low key that track at the end. I didn't mind the celebration. That was a banger. I liked the track. Like
It slapped.
Yep. And then we finally saw people in Naboo. Like people live there, apparently. And yeah, so and then that's the end of the movie. We see Qui-Gon get burnt up, and everyone looking. And
Man, they are
like,
quick
what's
to
gonna happen to me?
fucking Viking funeral
Just
somebody,
scorch
man.
people.
They
No,
always ready.
they gotta do it before they decompose, bro. They gotta, they can't be. They gotta get
They
it
got
done.
matches ready.
Race against the clock.
It's so they don't turn into rotters.
Yeah. And that is episode 1.
All right.
Phantom
So
Menace.
I've been hanging on to it. All right. So this is a story, as we just said, a couple minutes ago, the story of the baddest motherfucker in the galaxy, Darth Vader himself. That one dude out here. This is his story. We're going to go through it. Now, we're going to follow it. And I can understand it's like, okay, well, we want to be with him as the hero until he does turn. And so with that being the case, we need to kind of build him up in a certain way. But he is still a hero-esque figure. And I guess heroes and villains are kind of the same, different sides of the same coin. So you can kind of imagine getting to the same points with the same means, but then having different outcomes, right?
Yeah.
So a huge plot for me that just wasn't used very well was just his relationship with his mother and, what they did with that. Because I felt like this is a movie that they should have done that. I know a lot of people are kind of torn whether he should have been a kid now or he should have been older, all this stuff like that. But
Definitely should have been a little bit older.
What'd you say? What'd you say, words?
He definitely should have been a little bit older.
A little bit older, right? And that could have helped with the whole thing about him being too old to be trained. I could help with that bit because we've seen kids that looked about his same age whenever he murders the young
he chopped down himself.
Yeah, right, exactly. That could help with that. But also, I wanted them to do more with that. I didn't like the fact of him just kind of leaving his mom or, they saw something. They kept saying that something bad was going to happen. That's what they were saying. Okay, we don't trust him. We don't do this. And I know for a plot point wise, they can't knot it all up. But if we would have had more tension and more strife there and actually taken his mom from him in a way that he couldn't control, maybe that could have been better. Something I kept referencing when I was watching it. I think back to Superman. Superman can do everything, right? He can taller than a speeding bullet.
Fight tornadoes.
He can't fight tornadoes, and that's my point. That's what I'm saying. In Man of Steel, that was a big plot hole for me as well. To step into that is that he couldn't. The way they decided to kill his dad there was by a tornado. He could have ran and did that. The big thing for Superman is that his dad died from a fucking heart attack. He couldn't have done anything. He couldn't have stopped that. So that sets that character up. So then you have an Annie where he can't necessarily do everything, but he is a stronger character. If you would have taken his mom in a more, serious kind of way earlier, we could have planted that seed that he was meant to kind of jump off this ledge. Because as we go later, he had 10 years to fix this. He just didn't do it. So it felt kind of like, almost malpractice more than anything that he ends up to the point that he does. So I feel like this movie does
the man
a
was just
lot.
living his life, bro.
But he said he was coming back, and it just
but
me,
he didn't tell him
like,
when. He was like, "Listen, I'm gonna be back, but I'm gonna be out here. I'm gonna do some cool shit, and I'll be back." Just
he gets like, "Damn, I'm like a week too late, man. What the fuck? Well, that's my bad, man. That's my bad." But it seems like lazy writing, right? You have a perfectly good situation where we can end her in this certain way and put him in this situation that we go ahead and start the building blocks for what he's going to be. I feel like they kind of missed the gun for a huge opportunity to actually use
100%.
This character in this movie to put him where we want him to be later, because as we're going to see, spoilers, what we get and how we get to that point, it's not satisfying at all. And I think
and it's such a
seeds of it messing up.
Right. It's the theme of the love between a son and his mother that is just like even when he leaves, it's like, oh, are you taking mom too? No. Oh man, I don't want to go. no, you can go, Annie. Okay, all right, well, I'll come back for you later.
Yes.
Like, it's just like, it's just there's nothing there. Just like, all right, we got that out of the way. While that should be like explored so much more deeply and begin planting like really like strong emotional like, a reaction to build into what eventually happens to her, which is very dark and tragic, but it's not set up at all, and it just falls like everything in this trilogy just falls flat.
So with that, I mean, like, I wonder, like, how much does George actually write beforehand? Like, I mean, like, there's obviously a lot of stuff in the original trilogy that is kind of like debunked or whatever you want to say by the prequel trilogy. Is this like another case of that? I mean, is this just like maybe he didn't have episode 2 written already and he had no clue how he's going to do this? Or
that's a good.
I don't know the specifics of how he set out the prequel trilogy. I think we could probably do some research before we get done with all 3 of these. But I think, from what I remember, all of these movies are written by him. So however he wrote it was up to him. And like Jay said before, we were talking about the original trilogy. Like there was a lot that was. They didn't like have it. George always had a plan in his head. Like there's stuff within the new trilogy that I've seen in the documentary that like George had originally an idea for that was different, but that ended up being different when they made the new movies or whatever. Obviously, and so I'm not within the like, and I'll talk about this a lot more when we get to the new trilogy, when we talk about the whole Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, like the plan. And that's obviously the theme that a lot of fans have problems with, of like, oh, how could they not have a plan between all 3 movies? But I think there's probably, I'll just say for right now, I think there's a lot of ways to like go about it, I think. And I don't know how I did it for this movie, but I just think the quality of the writing in general is obviously leaves a lot to be desired throughout the three movies.
Yeah. And they flubbed the whole Jedi Council thing too. I mean, to piggyback off that, just their reaction to him. If they felt that there was something happening, they could have done something.
Yeah.
And I think anything they could have done would have been in service of the plot, right? Whether them trying to reform him, make him good, or make sure he's on the right path, or or being more, I guess, hard to say more against him, but just showing it, right? They just kind of said it and they didn't really act on it. And I don't think they do until it's kind of too late, or it's like a I told you so kind of thing, when they didn't really do anything against it. So I feel like the idea is there, right? That there's something weird about him, but they don't execute it on. I think it's kind of a lot of the stuff here. It's just, it's a little more hollow than I probably would really like it to be, because there's so many good ideas there, but they never really kind of flesh them out as much as they should.
No, absolutely. And like they just spend so much time at like on Tatooine when like it's super simple, where they need a hyperdrive, they need money, they need a pod race, but it's like it takes so long for that to happen and that to develop, and you're just like lulled to sleep, like because nothing really.
Not me. I enjoyed most of it. It's a good time for me. Sorry, Rage. I mean,
you want to expand upon that?
I mean, the shit was tight. You had the damn taking the Liam Neeson nigga out here just, trying to free little kids and shit. He the only person out here trying to help slaves, but, everybody else acting like it's just some normal shit, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, he was very clear when he told me he didn't come to free slaves.
Huh? What? Yeah, but that's what you tell people, really.
That's what you tell people.
Yeah, to catch them off guard. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to you don't want them to think then,
Sure.
You want him to save all the slaves. You know what I'm saying? It be like that sometimes, really.
No, I feel you.
I mean,
I was just saying.
I liked it. Y'all shitting on a movie because you know what I'm saying. It ain't it ain't up to 2020 standards. You know what I'm saying. It's 1999. We talking about y'all. Chill out, man. You know what I'm saying.
Well, I'm sorry.
My biggest
I know you like this
boo
movie.
boo up the ass fool. You know what I'm saying.
my biggest. I guess the thing I like a lot about it is that he committed to it.
Give me something that you like about it, please.
I'm sorry.
All I've been hearing is whoop de whoop. I hate this.
I'm sorry.
I've said a few things that I like.
Yeah, you have.
He does commit to it, and while there are flaws to it, he does commit to this world, this design, this this political thing. He's going full in there, and I think that's cool. I think as far as a creator goes, he did make this, and this is his baby. So I think at the end of the day, it's probably right for him to make these decisions. So. Sure. Good or bad, or however you want to see it. I'm obviously more on the bad side, but I do love that, he did kind of just go for it, and those things are there, and that is cool to see it. It's still Star Wars. There's still lightsabers swinging around.
Yeah.
Maybe take a little more time to flesh things out, but it's a story, and the movie
was like 2 hours long. What do you mean?
It feels like it's about 3.
Right. No,
really long.
All I was gonna say was like, because I was gonna use the example of spending so much time on Tatooine, and then like with the Jedi Temple, like we don't ever get to like. There's so much cool stuff that could have been like shown with that we never get to see, like what goes on there, like with training and whatnot. But like, and we can talk about that kind of stuff about. Oh, I wish I could have seen that more. Like, yeah, I mean, I didn't make the movie.
Of course, yeah.
Or whatever.
What?
Like,
What?
there's plenty of stuff that
You didn't make
I
this
can
movie?
say. That I can say that like I wish I would have seen more, but like whatever, the story is what it is, and so I'm not trying to say like they should have done what I think they should have done.
Right.
That's more just like me just thinking out loud and sharing. Oh, could have been just cool ideas, but all I'd say is like it's okay if George Lucas is not the best screenwriter. Like again, we saw in the original trilogy when he collaborated with really awesome directors. Like it was really cool to hear. I forget the name of the director of Empire Strikes Back, but they interviewed him in that documentary, and him talking about that's some of the cool stuff to see how their conversation Tim and George would have about like discussing, the collaboration that kind of the decision making that made Empire as great as it was, and that was just like the prime example of the formula that was working, and like we didn't have that formula. It was kind of all left up to George, and again, like I think we have George Lucas to thank for all of this, so I'm gonna obviously. All the negative I say is with a grain of salt because it's kind of his genius of why we have what we have. But yeah, I mean, you just wish he could have had maybe a couple more people collaborating with him on that level for these movies. So that's, I guess, my thoughts on that.
I mean, pacing is probably the biggest issue, really. I mean, we can talk like you just said.
It's just like, just not
about changing things and whatever. But I think if everything is maybe a little bit quicker, I don't think these things would be as dire or as serious as they are. Sure. Make it a little bit more tighter, and you could solve a shit ton of these problems. But that is what it is. So,
all right. Well,
what you got for me, Warriors? Any closing thoughts?
Man, not really. I liked it. I watched it. It only took me one sitting to watch it. Really, I watched it when I got home.
I thought you finished it today.
Yeah, I know today. It took me one sitting. I mean, I didn't really have a choice, I guess. But
I thought you said you started it before.
We started it like the first 20
it was like,
minutes of
like
it.
20 minutes, and then we started.
Oh, that's not really started.
But it wasn't like we had to go somewhere.
Yeah,
I got you.
But I mean, just overall, I thought it was like it's not like I won't be like, man, you know what? I got a couple free hours. I'm gonna watch me some Star Wars Episode 1. But I was like, I mean, if I just had to watch it for some research, you know what I'm saying? It's all right, It ain't like the worst piece of garbage I never watched, No, but I feel like people just be, be worrying about, all the little simple little plot holes and shit. Like, I mean, anything you watch, you probably can find plot holes and shit in. But, that's just me. It's a good movie. I liked it. It's still gonna be one of my, top five. You know what I'm saying? Wait, where did I have it at? Which one is this? Episode 1.
Episode 1.
Yeah, it's definitely in the right place. I had a number number 4. You know what I'm saying?
The confidence.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing really changed on it. My biggest thing I had to take away from why didn't Jedi mind trick work on that little anteater looking nigga with his little
Watto
with his little flaccid dick nose. I don't know why, don't know why it didn't work on him, but other than that,
you talking about Watto?
Yeah, I guess is that the rules? Just Jedi mind trick don't work on Watto.
Well, the rules are the strong-minded, right, Rage? It's
strong-minded,
yes.
Trick. Yeah, it's just like if you're weak-minded, you can be taken advantage of. But if you're strong-minded,
oh, okay. So this dude, so his he's led by capitalism, so that makes him strong-minded.
I was about to say entrepreneur, so yeah, he's got the strong mind.
He says something about like his species, like that doesn't work on them or something. But yeah.
But no, I wouldn't rewatch this movie unless I was asked to.
Yeah.
That is funny. I feel like I've watched this movie way more in the past couple weeks than I have ever, because we watched it, I think, twice in Believe to Rise.
Yeah.
And then Yeah, I was showing Jesse the series for the first time, so we watched it maybe a few years back. So yeah, I've seen this movie way more times than I really care to think about it.
Yeah, I just have to spread the viewings because, like, I will say, like, when I watched it for the first time, when like Disney Plus first came out, and it had been years since I watched it, I was like, it wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't that. I enjoyed it. Like, it was all right. But then, like,
I enjoyed it,
but not great.
Oh, quick shout out to Disney Plus. I know people shit on Disney for taking over the world, but here we are. But it's very convenient to be able to watch all these bad boys 4K HDR in one spot.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
All right, so what you got for me? Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. So I think originally I had this movie ranked fairly high. I mean, it was probably in the middle of my list. I'd have to look at my list again.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably because, I mean, I think if people look at this movie objectively, they're like, oh, this is probably the most balanced of the prequel trilogy. Like this doesn't make as many of the sins as Rage would call it, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
But that being said, I haven't watched this thing again, man. It's going to drop for sure. Like this was a labor of love, so to speak, man. I was I was sitting there like falling asleep the first 2 times I tried to watch it. The third time I barely made it through.
Yeah.
Is it just
damn?
Like you guys said, the pacing. I mean, not to shit on the movie. It's certainly got some great stuff, man.
I must just be like a feeble-minded fuck or something. I don't understand.
Feeble-minded.
I mean, there's some good stuff in it, but I'm saying like compared to the rest of the series, it's not something I'm going to be seeking out. I mean, because like I do think that like the lightsaber battles were better than anything we had seen up to this point, like, you know, in the release timeline or whatever. I mean, significantly better. And I think that like in a certain way, like some of the action sequences were much more exciting than we had seen in episodes 4, 5, or 6.
Like the lightsaber stuff, like the lightsaber. There's cool stuff with lightsabers that we haven't seen.
The movement is so good. Yeah. All of it.
Oh, the movement's great. I mean, people actually move. I mean, what a novel concept. But I mean, it's just not like 2 old guys hitting each other with canes like in episode 4. So I mean, you know, like for me, it was more exciting in that way. But like you guys said, the pacing is just like, man, it's all over the place. It's kind of slow at times. Yeah, I do have to say, like part of my favorite thing of the prequel trilogy is like the memes and like all the trollable stuff. And this doesn't necessarily have a ton of trollable stuff in it either. I mean, like I guess you could troll Jar Jar, you could troll like certain aspects of like, you know, Qui-Gon like making errors or whatever, but like it's not necessarily super trollable either. So I don't know. Like the more I was watching it, the more I was like, this isn't like as funny as I remember. This isn't like I'm not able to like poke fun or like poke holes in this movie as much as I wanted to. But
it's just I feel like just like not a lot happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like we spend a lot of time not doing that much. It's
like it's got to set up like a lot of stuff, man. You know, just being nostalgic. You know what I'm saying? Bring it back.
Yeah, and it does do that at times. I will say that. Like, it does do that at times. Like, it is still Star Wars. There is still moments where I'm like, oh, this is dope. Like, the opening sequence with, I'll go back to that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon in the ship and the droids. Like, look, I was enjoying it. Like, they're like, obviously the pod racing. It's not all, like, we're being really critical and stuff, but it's still Star Wars. And it still has a lot of the cool stuff that we love about it in it. And plenty of it, I would say.
I mean, it's like the introduction of like cheeky Obi-Wan too. I mean, like Obi-Wan's like Ewan McGregor is great. He's cheeky throughout. Yeah. Like he's funny. I mean, there's other stuff that I love. So like, here's some like little notes that I had of like things that I actually enjoyed about this movie. They're all little stuff. First of all, are y'all familiar with who Captain Panaka is? He's like the security guy for Padme.
Yeah.
I'm not.
The brown guy?
Yes.
Tall dude? Yes.
All right. So
the black
did you
dude?
notice in this movie, he literally says nothing but negative stuff. Everything he says in this movie is negative. He's like, they knocked out our communications. There's too many of them. And it's like, it's his only line.
The Hutts are gangsters. We can't take the kindness there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you do rewatch it again, make special note of him, because literally every time he comes on the scene, it's nothing but like negative exposition, and it's really interesting. Other notes that I had. Great part that I noticed in the credits. If when the credits are rolling, check it out. It says Jabba the Hutt and it says as himself. I thought that was great. I was like, I don't know who put that in there, but I appreciate it.
So Jabba's just inside the suit playing himself.
Yeah, it's just him, man. I mean, that's really him.
Even though it's CGI this time.
Yeah, he's actually real. He's hanging out.
And my favorite meme that comes from this one is Anakin saying to Qui-Gon, nothing can kill or nobody can kill a Jedi, and then like it's like flash forward, Anakin kills all the Jedi.
Yeah, nice little.
So that's really all I got to add to this one.
Also, special shouts out to the costume design. I thought like the Naboo stuff was all pretty cool, like the Queen's Guard, and I don't know. I thought the costumes were pretty cool. The Queen's like big get-ups, real elaborate get-ups. I don't know. Pretty cool.
Yes, I agree, Ray. That was pretty dope.
I also thought the whole like the space being cold, even though it was like a weird moment, was a cool thing to. I remember like I don't know. I'm dumb, but I just hadn't thought about that. I was like, oh, this is why everybody wears capes and stuff. And I remember, that little moment. I was like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a cool bit. I like that a lot. I like Anakin being uncomfortable and that
He's only been on the desert.
Yeah, even more so than kind of other things that kind of come up. But I thought that was a kind of cool, just a very humanizing thing for him to have. Yeah. I know a lot of people give I think kind of touched on a second ago. A lot of people give shit to the way the world looks. It looks a little too clean for the prequel series for this very dungy and dusty universe, I guess. But I all the set design, I think for the most part, it like has a kind of a cool look to it. But as I said before, it just doesn't go all the way. But I think the things that do work, like the design of the Naboo ship, like the design of her ship, it has a cool aesthetic to it. But for the smaller kind of more insular things, they need to push it a little bit more. But I never really had that too much of a problem with it being, I guess, overall cleaner looking than the. Than the
seeing Coruscant for the first time was cool too.
Man, Coruscant's fucking trippy as shit.
Yeah.
There's a cool video I think I want to send to you. It was a canceled TV series for Star Wars. It was called Star Wars Underground, maybe, or something like that. And it was supposed to go down on Coruscant, I want to say, but the test footage was, of a flying car coming down to the streets below, and it's like all dark and shit. And like some Blade Runner stuff. It actually looked a lot like the scene that opens up with Cassian in Rogue One. But they said that it cost too much money, so they weren't going to do it. But the idea of thinking about what, the ground level of that city would look like is pretty cool.
Yeah. Sweet.
All right, so
trying to think of any other positive stuff I had, because Goo made me feel bad that I was just being negative.
Well, no, I mean, this is...
y'all being negative.
I'm just kidding. Well, here's the thing. We had to kind of go through it, and we went through the entire movie, basically beat by beat, and we touched on a lot of things. So, I mean, we can bring up more stuff that we disliked, that we wanted to go through more, or we can also bring up some more positive things. I mean, for me, the movie is just going to have a more negative tinge than positive, but, I like the lightsaber fights. Like I said, I like the... I really liked Obi-Wan and, Qui-Gon Jinn's relationship and their whole deal. Yeah. It sucks to me that they didn't, continue it. That's the bad bit. But the good bit is that was awesome to see, because you see a healthy, master and apprentice relationship, which you don't necessarily get. You're kind of getting that friction because Anakin, by the time we get there, he's already kind of mouthing off and doing his own thing and not listening and yada, yada, yada. But Obi-Wan doesn't really do that, doesn't really have the time to do that. So you're kind of seeing what you should see throughout the series. So I think they really represented that pair. And they touch on it a little bit, when they're talking about the Sith. They're like, well, they always travel in pair, master and apprentice. Who got killed? The master or the apprentice, and then we see the shot of him. So establishing that kind of relationship, which is pretty important throughout the Star Wars lineage. I think that was excellently played by Liam Neeson, and then also by Ewan McGregor.
Hey, what's up with Star Wars and people falling down chutes, too? I got to ask that.
Just a thing, man.
Okay. I mean, like every single movie in the series, it feels like.
Yeah, it's a common thing we see.
And they always survive.
There's always... We have seen that a lot.
A universe
some we don't know yet, but we don't know if Phasma survived
basically.
Yet. So, just to add to Jay's point, though, crap, I lost it.
Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan.
Oh no, I remember like being genuinely bummed when Qui-Gon got killed. Like I was invested in that character. I really cared about that character. Was cool. I like Qui-Gon a lot. I liked his just that lineage of Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan to Anakin, of all these kind of hard-headed, strong-willed Jedi guys. I think it's cool to kind of see where it started and whatnot. And like you said, the relationship kind of foreshadowing and mirroring a lot of what Obi-Wan and Anakin will have. Because they have a very similar kind of close relationship where they can, have that kind of tension and, not see things the same way sometimes and stuff like that. So.
Not bad. What else we got? You got anything else for me, Warriors?
Nah, man, I done defended this movie as much as I can to the haters.
Special shouts out to Dubu Starfighter 2. Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead. Nah, man, I just said the haters are going to hate, man. Whatever.
You're going to hate? Go ahead.
No, I said the haters are going to hate, man.
No, we're the haters. We're the haters.
Y'all the haters.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Goo. I'm sorry.
Because I could probably name more good things this movie did than bad things than you guys could, so...
Well, talk to us. Do you want to give any shouts out to anything else?
What's that?
Do you want to give any more shouts out to the good things?
No.
I
could if I needed to.
Oh, I mean,
well, as we go through these prequels, definitely, even if if we're being critical and you have you see these things differently, please let us know why it's you see it differently and more positively.
Well, to kind of go ahead, Warriors. You go ahead.
Well, I mean, listen, Rage. I like to see good stuff in the movies. Okay, I like to think they wrote this stuff and they was like, man, you know what? This would be tight. Niggas gonna love this. But then, y'all niggas that be like, oh man, this is booty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we
are too critical. You're right.
You know what I'm saying? You got they brought you Hellraiser. Everybody liked him in the
movie. You are not lying. They did bring us Hellraiser.
Yeah, everybody liked him. Then you got pod racing. Then you got Darth Vader. You got young Yoda. You know what I'm saying? You got Rat Tail Boy.
Yep.
Yeah, Obi-Wan. You got Obi-Wan. You got him. You got
Samuel L. Jackson.
You got Samuel L. Jackson. Did I say young Yoda?
He's kind of jerked this whole movie though, but yeah, we do got Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
he's just so upset the whole time.
Yeah, we got Samuel L. I could keep going. I mean, yeah, you might be right about pace. I feel like it probably could have definitely went a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Because there are parts in there where you just it kind of feel like I'm watching like a filler episode. I'm just like, okay,
yep,
okay,
yeah.
Okay, y'all, get to it, But then when
we get it.
I think, but I think that comes to the fact of just I'm not a hardcore Star Wars fan. I'm just I drop in here, I check it out. Okay, we got some lightsaber, we got jumping around, we got fighting and shit. We got Jar Jar Binks over here. He the comic relief. We got all these cool characters. I'm just all right, tight, and I can just leave whenever I want to. I'm not I want to know more about that. I'm just okay, I believe you, and then I'm done.
Whereas you did say a really good point before that, kind of along the lines of them having to build a world, and we know what's going to happen, and kind of this being the first in a series. We talk a lot about it with the Marvel movies specifically now, about how everything's leading up to something and no movie feels like its own movie. And I praise A New Hope for being just its own movie. And it kind of has to be that way because it's the first one. They don't know what they're going to do. Stokes, again, to you, I do think George Lucas had to have had a lot of this stuff planned out because he'd been writing this stuff since probably 94, 95, I believe. Okay. So, yeah, that's kind of, if you're going to compare it to your old work and what you kind of did, I would hope that you would want to make a succinct movie. But at the same time, when you're telling a story and his crazy bullshit that he had all this shit already kind of mapped out in his head as far as the wiring of it, he always wanted episode 1 before 4, yada, yada, yada. He's already thinking in such a kind of jumbled way that it's going to be almost impossible for him to make something succinct in chunks, And I think, sorry to say words, that is a detriment to this film. However, I'm not necessarily a complete hater when it comes to setups for other movies because I know it's necessary. I know he could have done better, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt that he's kind of building to something. And that's obviously going to be another reason for him kind of doing things differently. And that could be a reason for the slow pacing, right? This maybe feels more to him like a long first act if we're thinking about them in trilogy kind of thinking about them in threes instead of just ones and ones and ones and ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also I don't, like I said, I don't know exactly what he had planned out from the beginning, but they do talk about like in the doc, like he had a lot of it planned out like before New Hope, like, and then that's when he decided to break it into trilogies. I just don't know exactly what he decided when, but I know he always had like a big picture in mind. For the saga. So
okay. Well, boys, how we feeling? We've been going for maybe about an hour and 45. Do we feel like we've covered Phantom Menace episode 1 enough?
Yes.
Yeah. I
think so.
I can't think of anything else.
Okay. We kind of mashed everything up, and I'm just going to talk it out a little bit more with these things to kind of help us fill out the direction we're going, and that way.
Should we give a rating?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to talk about. So, do we want to give an overall rating? Do we want to give our own rating? Do we want to put it in our own list differently? What do we think?
I feel like we like do the list at the end.
Yeah,
but like,
agreed.
like, I think something we do as friends a lot. We always do out of 10, and we rate things for each other. So I think it's kind of. I could see us doing. It's something we could do per movie just to get our feelings at the end of it.
Each of us giving our rating for it.
Yeah, just out of 10. Just because like we do that like when we text like as friends, we've always done that. True. You know, so.
Okay, what do we think then?
Goop said 8.
Yeah, I may know I go with a strong 8.3.
8.3.
No. 8.8.
You were doing a lot of fighting for an 8.3, but I got you.
Yeah. It ain't the best, but it definitely ain't the worst.
Yeah.
What you got for me, Stokes?
6.5.
6.5. I'm about to write that. I'd say probably about a 6.
What you got? I'm gonna give it a 5.
A 5. Damn, set that floor low.
I'll give it a 5.
Okay.
I don't want to go like into the like under 50%, but it's just like it's just enough to stay at 5. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
Well, damn. All right. Well, shit. 5. That's Phantom Menace. So bear with us. This is a new process for us completely, and I think I think we were kind of taken aback, a little bit kind of thrown off by how divisive this first one is, especially first. I mean, not divisive, maybe a little bit harder to even review and even to kind of take in because it's a different pacing. We're coming off Rise, right? Rise was a completely different kind of movie, and then we're jumping in, we're going all the way backwards, and we're kind of filling this out. So I think as we go, we'll be able to pace it all better and kind of get into it, and for Warriors especially, give a little more positive than negative. But it is a review, and to review something critically, you do have to look at it in a different kind of way, and you're generally going to be more about the things that are kind of down on it than the things that are good on it. But that's what we're here for. We're here to check it out, review it, give you guys our thoughts, give you guys the bullshit, take you through it. So this is the first of 11. We're going to keep it rolling. Stay with us. If anyone has anything else, we can get up out of here.
I got to do this 10 more times.
10 more times, yeah, you do.
I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it? Yeah, good time.
Yeah, I think there's some like different things I want. Like I'm gonna do something different for the plot. Just try and be a little bit more. I don't know. Do that better. But we're doing this for the first time, so
I think so.
We got to get that intro a little bit better.
Of course.
That's pretty funny, but
yeah, look, we came in a little hot. I kind of like the hot though. It kind of has that. It kind of has that album vibe to it, where you listen to the song and people just fucking ad-libbing in the back. But yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up quick with this right here. It's been fun as always. Stay tuned. We'll stay on the chat for a little bit, but yeah, this is Oblivious, and we're out. The Oblivious Podcast is brought to you by Chris Rowland, Dustin Stokes, LaQuinza Morgan, and me, Jay Johnson. We write, produce, and host all content. The show is recorded remotely from Meridian, Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, Jackson, Mississippi, and Chicago, Illinois. To contribute to the show or just to say hello, you can find us at obliviouspod.com. There you will also find a link to our Patreon. Our email is obliviouspod@gmail.com, Instagram @obliviouspod, and Twitter @obliviouspod1. To contact us individually, you can find us on Twitter @RayJarKan, @LaQuinza, and @ObliviousStokes. I'll be on Instagram @Chuki.